Brian Leonhardt here with the Leonhardt team at Coldwell Banker Realty. We're a team of 10 agents, sell a little over $50 million in real estate per year. And today we have a special guest on the podcast, Jason Huseth from Bell Bank. Jason, how long have you been a lender?
Been a lender for 22 years.
22 years. So you've seen it all from start to finish. I got a bunch of questions for you, but let's start with this one. Interest rates where they're at now today, what do you do with it? Where do we go? What do you think is going to happen? I guess that.
Interest rates were 8% 4 to 6 weeks ago.
Yeah.
They've come down to 7, maybe high 6s. The Fed in their last meeting has liked the way that inflation is coming down. It's on the right trajectory, and even hinted at a pivot come some point next year.
Yeah.
So if the economic indicators that they like keep going, we could see a Fed pivot and rates. You know, the general consensus is rates could end up between 5 and 6%.
You think so?
Nobody really knows.
Yeah. I totally get it, right? It's one of those things, just same in real estate, is nobody has a crystal ball. Things can change overnight for sure. But if we were to take a good guess at it, right, you think maybe 5, 6s probably?
I would say 6s.
6s will float around 6 as an average, probably next year, right? Probably not going to, you think we'll see 5.5?
Ooh.
Maybe? Probably not, right?
Inflation would have to keep on the right trajectory,
and the Fed would have to pivot. We'd have to get some good news from the pivot. So I think one, for people to understand, is I think everybody thinks that Federal Reserve is directly tied to interest rates, right? But knowing this is kind of the point of going, it's what the Fed has said they were going to do, kind of in the explanation of going, that's why interest rates were at 7% last year, before the Fed actually increased their internal rate of return, right? The overnight rate of that, right?
Yeah.
So I think that a lot of what happens with mortgage rate is based off what the Fed's saying, a little less than what they're actually doing. So as soon as we hear them actually say there's going to be a pivot, that's probably a good reason why it has started to go down right now. But I think the biggest thing that everybody's going to ask or is waiting for is, when will I see my 3% mortgage rate again?
I don't think that's going to happen in the foreseeable future.
Yeah. I think that a lot of the general public, or a lot of my clients, will wait for something like that to kind of go, okay, I'm waiting until it gets to this number. Well, if there's no foreseeable future of that number happening, right? Next year, we think maybe somewhere around 6s. 2 years from now, which is almost impossible to predict, but it's probably going to be somewhere around 5. What kind of situation we would have to see interest rates like that again?
You'd probably have to see a geopolitical disaster.
Right? Yeah. So that's kind of the thing of why we were at interest rates where they were, was a pandemic. There was an unprecedented time for us to have, and that's why it got down there. Now, we have to have another one of those to happen for it to most likely get down there again. It's not just naturally going to happen. It's never, right? Has there ever been another time in your 22 years where interest rates were that low?
Not even after 2008, no.
Exactly, right? I think that's that thing, as we look back and go, okay, well, this happened a couple of years ago, whatever the pandemic, right? We'll see that again. It's not really the case.